Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masechtas Zevachim daf Mem Gimel. We are going to begin on the bottom of Mem Beis Amid Beis with the new Mishnah. Ve'elu devarim shein chayavan alehen mishum pigul. So we've been learning up until now numerous dafim about the dinim of pigul, which typically a person has an improper machshava, chutz lizmano, chutz l'mkaimo, that's going to be done outside of the proper time, the proper place, and there could be a chiyav kares respectively. Chutz lizmano is chiyav kares, chutz l'mkaimo is not. And of course, we also learned when it comes to the dinim of pigul, many other laws. Specifically, it has to be about an achila. It says v'hima achel ya'achel. So it's a shteik achilos akas medaber. One is achilos mizbech, achilos adam. Okay, and again, really going through all different pieces, talking about a non-kohen who could do the shechita, so he could be mafagel, but not when it comes to Kabbalah because he's puzzle. It's only someone who's shaykh to be able to do that part of the avodah. So it says Rashi. So if a person would end up eating this, they will not be chayav kares. So first is hakaimitz, vakatayris, vahalavayna. So let's go slow. Says Rashi, im kamatz le'echol shirayim amachar. If while you did the kemitza, which is equivalent to shchita, your intention was to eat the leftovers tomorrow, and therefore it becomes pigul. If you eat the kaimitz itself, then there's no din karis. And here's the reason why, which it says, she'ein hapigul chal el al davar sheishul matirin acherim. It has to be something in which is going to allow other things to be allowed, but the kaimitz is the matir itself. So all these different things is the matir. So if you consume the matir itself, you're not going to be chayiv. It is pigul, but if you eat it, you're not going to be chayiv kares. Okay. Vakatayris v'halavoina. So when it comes to being makta the kataris as well as the lavoina. So the lavoina also is another example of one of the matirin, and that's we also discussed whether you can be whether we say yesh mafalgan b'chatzi shir or in mafalgan b'chatzi matir rather. If there's two matirs, you actually have to have pigul on both of them. So the Gemara discusses that at great length. Mem Gimel Alf minchas kohanim. When it comes to a minchas koyin, so also that's not something in which is eaten. It's completely burned, as is brought down Masechta Sota. It's a question about the minchas chayte, what we do in that situation, because he has a chelik in it, she has a chelik in it. Minchas koyin Mashiach, when it comes to the mincha of a koyin, koyin gadol, v'hadam, and the blood. And because again, the dam is the matir. So if, I guess it's talking about chilas dam, so you're not going to be chayiv kares for that. V'anesachim haboyim imni atzman, as well as nesachim that come by themselves. These are all different examples. So let's look at Rashi. Minchas nedavas kohanim kul kolil venu nikmetzes, because it's completely burned. Hilkach ein acher matira, so there's nothing else. So the classical case of pigul is that you have a machshava b'shas shchita, you're going to do the zrika or whatever at the wrong time, and then it's actually eaten the meat. So, and it's only pigul after the actual zrika takes place to be chayav kares on eating it. That's because the basar is not the matir. It's something in which the matir allows it to be eaten, if I said that correctly. So when it comes to the nesachim that come by itself, same is the same thing. Dibra says Rashi, Dibra Mar min chasam nischeihem afal machar, aval im havien im zivcho. That's only if it's brought by itself, but if it's brought together with a carbon, upigel b'zevach nispalgu hanesachim. If you're a mafagel the zevach, that also will cause problems for the nesachim too. And therefore now we have meat, so there's something that is eaten, so that's why there's a chiv karis over there. What does that mean? Says Rashi, even though you could be makar nesachim tomorrow, nimsa shena zevach matirin l'karav ela hein matirin es atzman. Again, it's a matir by itself. Lug shemen shel matzayra. So when it comes to the lug shemen of matzayra, in which is one of the places where we said before that all of the sprinklings are ma'akev, but there are leftovers, and they can be consumed, as we're going to see later on Daf Mem Dal, next Daf. Nonetheless, you're not going to be chayiv kares. Rabbi Shimon Omer ein chayin alav mishum pigul. Rameir Omer chayav alav mishum pigul. When it comes to rather the case of lug shemen shel matzayra, it's a machlokus whether there's pigul or you're not going to be chayiv for pigul. So that's the question. It says Rashi im pigel ba'asham. If you're mafagel when it came to the carbon asham that accompanies this oil, lo nifla galug. You say that it doesn't affect the lug shemen. Even though the lug shemen is totally to the carbon, they're connected, it doesn't make any difference. Afil hachi, says Rashi, kivan the adam maybe ashamo achshav, you bring the asham now, v'lugoi adasari yamim, and the lug is another time, nimsta shena asham matirai, kivan de enlo matirin, and chalamishum pigul. So it's really not, even though it seemingly is linked, because you have to have the oil together with the with the carbon. You can't not do one of them, but they're not done at the same time. However, according to the sheet, that's Rav Shimon. Rameir says chayav mishum pigul. Rashi says lug haba im ha'asham bo bayom chayav mishum pigul im pigul ba'asham. Okay. Shadam asham matiro, because again the dam of the asham is the matir in this case. Fine. The kol sheishel matirin, anything which has a matir, bein l'adam bein l'mizbeach chayav mishum pigul. Right, and we're going to see some examples of that. Ha'oila, so a carbon oila, even though it's completely burned, it doesn't make any difference. It could be a matir for you under certain circumstances to be able to eat kodshim or something along those lines. Dama matir es besara l'mizbeach v'oil kohanim. He explains when it comes to an oila, when the dam is sprinkled, it maters the basar. It's a matir not for people to eat it, but it's a matir for the mizbeach to consume it. And the hide does also go to the kohanim. So there is a matir by an oila. So therefore there's a din karis. Oilus oaf, dama matir es besar l'mizbeach. Same thing. But when it comes to the oilus oaf, we don't say that its skins go to the kohen. That's only by behema. Chatas oif, dama matir es besar l'kohanim. Because a chatas is not completely burned on the mizbeach, and therefore its basar can be eaten by the kohanim. Parim and esrafim, in which it's burned and the blood is sprinkled inside in the heichal, useirim hanisrafim, as well as the sa'ir shel Yomi Kippurim, damin matir esimurehen lahakriv. So the dam is a matir for the sacrificial parts to be brought. Rav Shimon Omer kol she'enu al mizbeach achitzayin kishlomim en chayav lo mishum pigul. So he disagrees and says it's not true. when it comes to anything in which is not connected to the Mizbeach HaChitzain, we're not going to say as a din pigul. So the fact that it's something is a matter for the inside by the Mizbeach HaPanimi, that doesn't help. And therefore, look in Rashi, Lafikach pigul be'imurim b'shas avodas hadam nispagu parim. Okay? However, Rav Shimon, who just is arguing here, says a parim hanisrafim plagi. When it comes to the parim hanisrafim, which is bifnim, the matir is brought bifnim, not b'chutz. And we also said that even though in this parak, where even only the first zrika by karbanos, maybe according to Beis Shammai, the first two by the chatos, Beis Hillel says even the one, that's the only time you can be a din pigul. But now when it comes to in the Mizbeach HaPanimi, in the Mizbeach HaPanimi, we have a different din, that it's everything is ma'akev. But it doesn't make any difference, because it's all totally in the Mizbeach HaChitzon. And we're going to understand the machlokas when we get to the Gemara. So Omer Ula, kaimitz pigul. So if let's say a person has a kamitza machshava, when it comes to, he thinks, I'm going to be doing this chutzim kaima chutzim zmanai, it is pigul. Sha'alu al gam mizbeach, and is put onto the mizbeach. Paka pigul mimenu. It removes the pigul from it. The Gemara is going to explain what exactly does it mean, paka, that pigul is removed from it. Ima cherem mevi lidei pigul hu atzmo lokoshakain. If other people can bring it to the status of pigul, then in itself certainly it should. So my karma, what exactly is being said? Says Rashi, the boy lememar paka pigulu mimenu. It says like the pigul is removed, and then it talks about the second statement. What's being said? So hachi karma. Im eno miskabel. If let's say it wasn't on the mizbeach, the hakatayra was not put on the mizbeach, heich maybe achem l'dei pigul. So how is it shaykh that a person who's a makter the kaimetz almanash sheichel shirayim l'machar, right? Let's look at Rashi. A person who has the condition, I'm going to eat the shirayim tomorrow, heich mincha mispaleges im eno haktaras hakatayra. If you weren't makter or anything, v'halchikamer who atzmo koshikein sheiskabel acher sheiskabel ratzos acherim lipiguloi. So my kamash one, what's being said over here? So id ein chayavon lo mishum pigul. Is it telling you that you're not chayav for pigul tenino? We already saw this in our Mishnah. El devarim shein chayav lo mishum pigul hakaimitz vakataris alvana minchas lechohanim minchas kohen mashiach minchas asachim v'adam. So you already know that there's no din pigul when it comes to kamitza. El di'im olu yardu. Maybe it's just come to tell you that if it was put onto the mizbeach, even though it's already a pigul, that we're not going to take it down. So Tanina, we actually learned something like this. It says halon. We learned also that. Let's see if it says this. Okay, so one who leaves over at night, v'hayotze, who takes it out of the right place, v'tamei, v'shenishchat chutz l'zmanoi, v'chutz l'mkomo, was checked in the wrong time and place, im olo yardu. So we already know all these different dinim that im olo yardu. We don't take it off the mizbeach. Vela di'im, and the whole din of im olo yardu, we're especially strict when it comes to in the mizbeach ha'pnimi. This is like a klisharis. Okay. Vela di'im yardu yalu. So maybe it's come to tell you that actually you have to take it down. Di'im yardu yalu, rather. If it came off, you have to put it back. Hanamitina kashem she'im olo yardu kach im yardu lo yalu. It actually says that you don't put it back up. Let's say the fire took hold of part of it. And therefore, maybe if the fire took part of it already, even though it wasn't supposed to be there, but since it's already been caught fire, even though it's taken down, maybe to put it back. So Hanami, Amr ula chadazimna, the Amr ula lo shanu el shalom mashal behena or, if the fire didn't catch on, el mishal behena or yalu, you should still put it up. So madatema. So what's being said over here by Kemitza? So madatema hanimili. Maybe you would think as we continue to Mem Gimel Amid Beis madatema. What would you think that Aver the Mechaber? That's when we're talking about it was like one solid piece. Then you put it back up. Avol Kaimitz the Mifras, because Kemitza has many separate pieces of flour. Himalo Kamash Malon. So that's the Chiddush. That even though it's small pieces, you will think that there's no need to have to put it up or do anything. So Kamash Malon that you still do. Okay. You still have to put it back up. Okay. Question 13 maybe? Okay, let's actually keep going first. Amar Rav Achai Hilkach. Therefore, based on what we said, Hai Kaimitz, Pigel de Palgia. So let's say you have this pigel that you had Kemitza, and there's a pigel on it, the Palga, Maches Ara, so half of it's on the ground, Upalgia Askia Amaracha, and half of it is on the pier, on the fire, Umashlaba, or and it's caught fire, that half, Masiknale Lukule. You could take even the part that's on the ground, L'chatchila, to put it up top. So it's not even necessary that all of it is burned up, but even some of it would cause you to bring the rest up. TA23. Nursing a cold, forgive me. Madin, one more time. Amar ula pigul kishola gamizbeach poka pigulo. So we said biyari demashal or my kamashmon amar chadazimna. So we said hanimili avarim that are attached. That goes back up, but maybe kaimitz, which is in small little pieces, maybe not. Kamashmon, that's the chiddush. Rav Yitzchak, Rav Yochanan, Apigol v'hanoyser v'atame, she'olu l'gam mizbeach poka iser mehen. Okay, so when it comes to all these different things that are on the mizbeach, even though, again, we had problems, it doesn't make any difference, says Rashi, iser pigol kedamran she'im yored yala. So we say that you can still, even if it went off, you put it back. When it comes to these things, once it's on Mizbeach, so the one who eats it is no longer going to be chayiv. Okay, so Amar Rav Chisda Mari Dichi. So he says Bal Hashmu Hazois, the one who is saying this Mizbeach Mikvah Tahara. Understand what is this mikvah? It's tameh. So why all of a sudden do we say that a person's allowed to partake? How could it be poka to that level? It's like the mikvah's in matahir. Rav Zera shemosh ben or. Again, we're talking about where the fire already caught to it, and therefore if it was taken down, you can put it back up. Moshe Rav Yitzchak bar bisna acherim oimer betumasolov. When the pasuk says betumasolov, misha tuma parachas mimenu. It's referring to this tuma which went away from it. Yatsa basar shein tuma parachas mimenu. But when it comes to the basar, it doesn't go away from it. Okay. Says Rashi, betumasolov l'kamen ma'istinin lo b'shmaisin l'memra tumas haguf medaber. We're talking about when a person is tameh in that situation. So yochel tumas abasar. Okay. Fine. Yatsa basar shein tuma parachas mimenu. So we're making a distinction between tumas haguf and the basar. Ve'im isa hari toma parachas menu alidea or. But it's not true, because we just said that if it catches on, so the toma does leave it. Amrava alidei mikva kamrinan midi mikva ksiv. So it doesn't say mikva. El amra papa babasar shlomim askinan. Tolo chazi lakrava. We're talking about a shlomim, says Rashi. Tekrab shlomim ksiv. Denu royal mizbeach. Vein mafriach mitumasoi. We're talking about that it wasn't supposed to be put on the mizbeach at all, because it was a shlomim. The basar shlomim is not supposed to be burned. It's supposed to be eaten by the owner, etc. So therefore, the fact that it was done, that will not affect the tumah, because it wasn't done, it shouldn't have been there. But when it comes to a carbon which is supposed to be burned, but there was other problems, then we say the tumah is parachas. Ravina oimer v'tumas alav misha tumah parachas mimenu kishu sholem. It's referring to when it's complete. Yatsa basar davar sheinu tumah parachas kishu sholem. El kishu chaser. It's only when it's missing, right? Which means that it's referring to like the imorim, the sacrificial parts. So it's not a complete animal, okay? Goof of a tumasal, but tumas a goof, because madaber atar, but tumas a goof in a whale, but tumas basar. So we said that pasuk is referring to the person is tamei. Never kan tumasa, but never will hama tumasai. Malhom, but tumas a goof, because madaber afkan, but tumas a goof, because madaber. Okay, so it's the same. Rabbi Yosi Amir Hoya, but never kadoshim beloshin rabim. Since it's in a plural language, the nemra tuma beloshin yachid, and tuma is in a tumas yach is a loshin yachid, but tumas a goof, because madaber. Therefore, it must be it's talking about a person. Okay. Fine. So, with regard to tumas aguf, we say chayiv. A tummy person who ate a carbon tahar is going to be chayiv kares, but a tahar person who eats a tummy carbon is only going to be chayiv malchus, as we'll see. Rabbi Omer va'achol b'tumas aguf because madaber. Acherim oimrum amru v'tumas olav misha tuma parachas mimenu yatsa basar shein tuma parachas mimenu, because a person, the tuma could leave him tumas aguf. You go to the mikvah and you're tahar. But when it comes to this when it comes to tumas basar, it's tamei. That's it. Amar mar Rabbi oimer v'achol but tumas aguf because madaber my mashma. How do you know that's what it's talking about in the pasuk? Rava Kolkra Dolo Mafarish Le Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Abdumi V'chol Mas Nisa Dolo Mafarish Lo Rab Zira Lo Mefarsha. It won't be well explained. Haki Yomi Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Abdimi Hoyel Gupasach Hakasu B'Loshen Nekeva V'Sai B'Loshen Nekeva V'Loshen Zachar Be'emsa V'Tumas Haguf Hakasu Medaber. To say we have this change in language, as Rashi says, it begins as nefesh ki siga b'chol tamei, a person who touches that which is tamei, v'ochel b'basar zevach shlomim, and you eat from a shlomim, and it says v'nechor sa nefesh, you chayiv kares. V'luksiv ochla, it doesn't say v'ochla b'basar zevach. So havi af harishoin al tatamilav in pasuk l'sayim b'loshen nekeva v'loshen zachar be'emsa. So you have this loshen zachar in the middle, alpha pekin, but tumas aguf kasam adaber. We're talking about when it says the person is tamei, and he'll be chayiv kares by eating a carbon tahar. You shouldn't be confused about that. Okay, we're not going to see the rest of this Rashi. It's important, but my cold is acting up, so I won't be able to do as much. Okay, so let's keep going. So Masnisa Desanya. Actually, let's look at question 13 quick. Hapigel v'noisim atami shola gam imazbech v'yardu him chayzin v'oilin. So he said it depends im mashal behema or oilin v'i lo mashal behena or ein oilin. So that we said already. Maybe TB is a question. Oimer ula pigul she'ol gam ezbeach paka pigula magamamar biyad mashlba or makamashmlan ha'amra. We said this before, so this is the same TB23. I'm giving one mid base is the same as TA23, and maybe we'll make a distinction between the limbs which are mechuber, which are attached, and this which is in pieces. Masnisa the sanya im nemru kalois slom nemru chamurois im nemru chamuros slom nemru kalois im nemru kalos lo chamuros. It only said the kalos and not the chamuros, which we're going to see what it's referring to. It's going to end up talking about tumas sheretz versus tumas mace. You would think when a person is tummy tumas sheretz, it's a lav, and someone who's tummy mace, that tumas aguf, he'll be chayiv misa. Well, kach demer chamuros. V'im number chamuros, well number kalos, hayis oimer al chamuros yechayiv al kalos yepater. You think you're pater completely. The kach demer kalos. So my kalos, my chamuros. Ilim kalos, meiser chamuros truma. That, what is that referring to? Because in both of them, it's in the same parsha in Vayikra. It says v'yoichel min hakadashim. Don't eat from the kadashim ki'im rachatz b'sar b'mayim, unless you first cleanse yourself. And we said b'kminula b'meiser. And when it says ki'im rachatz ha'im rachatz yi'achel, so Rashi says v'afal pi shelo ha'irv shimsho hari tamei she'oichel meiser b'lav, someone who ate meiser. Uva shemesh v'taher. That, of course, we know is truma, because you've it's not referring to kodshim because you need your mechusar kippurim. Okay, so maybe we're talking about these are the cases where you could be the kulos and the chumros. So we say no. So you're going to say by eating this you're chayiv misa. Hashinami haba misa. You're going to be chayiv for eating meiser at while you're tamei misa. Vasu v'ilu nemra ha'isa oimer b'misa doyava v'nadin lios kenadoin. So Bitmia says Rashi me'echi teisali bob misa holo ma'isinin la elo b'kal v'chomer b'meiser v'dayoy v'vad v'nadin ma meiser b'lav lo b'misa. We know meiser, if you eat it, it's a lav. You're not going to be chayiv misa. So truma, the most you could say is the same thing, because dayo, you can't possibly think you're going to be chayiv for truma, misa. So we don't even have that havamina. So that can't be what it's talking about. Ella kalos tumas sheretz chamuras tumas mace. Umamai ibet truma. What a chil are we talking about? Ibe truma al shtein hatumos hu bechilish truma b'misa umay al kalos b'lav katani idi hu b'misa fasu lakach nemer chamurais. So again, what is he eating while you're tummy mace or tummy sheretz? If you're eating truma, idi hu b'misa. Al shtein hatumois hu b'achilish truma b'misa. If a person eats tumas aguf truma, you're so then it's misa. While you're right, idu hu b'misa. Apparently, even tumas sheretz. Fasul kach demer chamuros the belav ha b'misahi. It's misa. So if we're talking about truma, so again, it's a much more severe punishment. If it's a chilas meiser, as we continue mem dal man aleph, imo nemru chamuros If it didn't mention tumas mace, ha'isa oimer al chamuros b'misa, ha'metumas sheretz ka'asya. We learned it out from sheretz. The dai lovim in the nilios kinodin. So Amar Ziri kalos tumas sheretz and chamuros tumas mace. The hachikamer, which is what we said before, right? Bahachikamer is how you read it. Ilu nemer tumas sheretz. If you don't mention tumas sheretz, the nemar meiser v'truma v'lo nemer tumas mace. You don't mention anything about tumas mace. Ha'isa oimer kalos al hakalois belav v'al chamuros b'misa. Over the kalois al chamuros b'misa, chamuros nami al kalois b'misa, lakach namur chamuros. Adkan.